Welcome to True Lies, the Social Security shell game. This is Jack and GT here with Something's Brewing, and we're on the Social Security thing rig hard because we are both Social Security beneficiaries. And I hate that damn term because beneficiaries, think about it, you paid in all those years and the government decides to give you back some of your money and that makes you a beneficiary. God bless them, really. GT, and we don't practice these things. We don't rehearse these things. I have no idea what's coming. I know he's got something in his craw and he wanted to belch it out. So I'm going to kind of let him get right to it right now.
Well, I gotta belch it out. Why can't I just say it? Anyways, yeah, it's funny you bring up that we're beneficiaries, and you're correct. We paid this money. It's ours. I don't know why they're acting like they're doing us this big favor. But that being said, the other day, now Jack, I had to go back to work like Jack. I'm on Social Security, but I'm back at work driving a truck hauling cars, and so I have a lot of time on the road, and I listen to shows and stuff, and so I'll listen. Of course, I'm political junkie kinda, and I was listening, and I think it was Ron Johnson, the senator from Wisconsin, and they were questioning about Social Security and the benefits and how it's got to be reformed, or they're going to have to cut our benefits way back. And he said, well, he goes, everybody gets more money back than they put in. And so I started thinking about that, and I started putting money in probably 1973, but let's just say 1975. And so I didn't believe it, and I really think that how when they want to when they're going to try to screw you, they float something out there, a statement, and then pretty soon it becomes like almost policy. Well, I don't know why you're expecting so much. You didn't put that much in. Well, I did some research, and I found out. Here, let me grab some notes so I don't get this wrong. From the money that they started withholding in 1975 for me, until I started taking Social Security in 2 years ago, year and a half ago, and that would be getting whatever T-bills we're paying all through from 1975 on a yearly basis. If my withholdings were deposited into account, I would have $331,979 right now in my account, and that's a minimum. Now, that's not included, as I don't know if all of you know. I know Jack knows, but your employer matches that. Whatever they take out of yours, the employer contributes. So in actuality now, I would have $663,000, $663,958. Well, that's more than I'm going to use. Unfortunately for me, I've used a lot of drugs in my life and drank a lot. I still drink, and so I'm probably going to get 20 years out of them. The average life expectancy is about 78 point something years. For women, it's 81. For men, it's 75. I get about $18,000 a year plus. That's before they subtract my Medicare, which I'm sure if any of you are on Social Security, most of you probably have Medicare. You do, don't you, Jack?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Something different that day.
Anyways, I get about $18,000 a year. So at 20 years, that'd be basically $360,000, and so they would have been right, because I would have only had 331 from what I put in my account, but my employers put it in too, and they've had this money, and they've collected interest on this money ever since then, and so I would be at $663,000. I would basically have to live till I was 100 years old, and that's not happening. We're just going to go with the average of 78 years. So I put in more than I'm going to receive. So while this senator is saying this, and it's kind of true, if you didn't get any interest on your money, if the Social Security didn't get any money, any interest, which they do, well, it would probably be less. And in actuality, I was less But then when you put the matching contribution in, I'm way over.
Oh yeah,
Um,
anytime you do. I mean, I had self-employment income for a lot of my life, and I paid two sides of Social Security, and every employer I had paid on there. Yeah, I hear these comments too, and it goes back to this thing of we're beneficiaries, which is really kind of pisses me off. They act like it's some major benefit they're giving to us. These are the same people who have lifetime health insurance. Some get security, all types of things they never paid a dime into, and they're getting that. You want to talk about being a beneficiary? I mean, their pension program's a little bit better than ours, and you talk about being a beneficiary. So for them to dictate that to us, now the other thing that goes in this formula, you're talking about GT's talking about putting more money in than you actually get out, which happens a lot of times because you have people who put in for 20, 30 years and die. And that's not uncommon. So both the employer and that person put in all those years and then it's gone. And they'll come back and say, well, there's widow benefits, yes, and or survivor benefits, but there's categories how you actually get that. Not everybody gets that. Yeah, but you have single people die to get it. But all this money put in there for them to act that way. My biggest issue with the money to get put in there, besides what we're talking about here, is this little shell game they play where they move it around sometimes. And I listened to a politician not very long ago. I hear say, oh no, not one dime of that money has ever been spent for anything else. So I did a little research, and in our next show, I'm gonna provide the documentation. You can look at this. This money gets moved all the time, and it's used anytime they think they have any kind of a surplus, which is very weird to me. They've had a surplus 11 times large enough to move to support major parts of the budget, and they moved it. They moved it, and they used it. Yeah, I don't know what this guy's talking about, but they absolutely did. And then they put in, and it's called, you got it right here, a Treasury Bond IOU. That's what it's
yeah,
called.
that's it right there. Yes.
So they put that, it's an IOU. It'd be like you playing in a card game, and we hang around there, and you owe me some money, or or I owe you
Yes.
money. I say, here, I'll raise that bet. Here's my IOU. You know,
Yeah.
good luck.
And the government owes Social Security a lot of money right now. It's fun.
Sure
It
it is.
goes in the general fund basically. It pays for defense. It pays for everything. And my point being, and the thing that irritated me is, I know they're getting ready to try to hose us. They're getting ready. And the funny thing is even in Social Security, there's a lot of fat they could trim. I agree. I think it should be means tested. If you're still making two or $300,000 a year, and you've got a couple $1 million in assets, I really don't know if they should be giving it to you. Now, if you happen to lose your money and you need it again, well, then obviously you could get it. I think they should means test it. There's a lot of fraud in Social Security too, Jack. Like, I don't know if your listeners know, because on our podcast, we're former inmates. I did, a couple decades in federal prison on drug charges, and when I got out, and when I was in, I had a lot of people tell me, "Hey, are you going to get Social Security disability when you get out?" I go, "Well, no, I'm healthy. There's nothing wrong with me. I'm going to work." And they go, "Well, God, you've done 20 years. Over 20 years. They won't turn you down." And so when I get out, I get to the halfway house, and I even have a counselor tell me that, and a couple other guys. They said, "Look, if you apply for disability, they're going to turn you down. Then after you have 90 days to reapply or something, you reapply again, they're going to turn you down again." And all you tell them is, "Well, I can't hold a job. I can't hold a steady job. I've been in prison so long that I can't work." And it's not a real disability, like I got a hurt back and I can't work. It's a phony one. And then they said on the third try, they always get it. And I had numerous offers. If you have any problem after that, I got a Social Security disability lawyer that'll take the case for you for a fee. And a bunch of the guys in the halfway house, young guys, but they did a lot of time. Well, they're getting disability, and there's nothing wrong with them. They're
Yeah.
able-bodied guys.
That's why it kind of pisses me off when I see this thing where they talk about uh, when Doge came in, and boy, they're going to find all this Social
Yeah,
Security, stuff, and they find dead people. Here they find a couple of people that were dead that had no relatives, and money was going into an account still sitting there. Nothing happened. They didn't hardly find anything. That's not the fraud area. It's not. Now, I'm sorry if you're on Social Security disability. I'm not picking on you if you're legitimate. But what GT's talking about, everyone, maybe not everyone. I'm saying I was approached that way. He was approached that way. So both of us were, and I'm in the middle part of the country. He's in the western part of the country. I know two other inmates who were approached by people say, hell, you can get Social Security disability. And these weren't just people off the street. These were people with knowledge that said, yeah, you can get this. And I'm going to tell you, if you think just because you did time, and I'm going to play hardline this, you think because you did time you're disabled, you're full of shit. Because there's a lot of people out there, a lot more disabled than that, who've had a hell of a time. And that's the secret to it. They don't give it to you till the third time. That's how these attorneys made an industry out of that. They know that, you know. And so they're marketing to these guys. So is that fraud? Hell yes, it's fraud. But are they looking? I haven't heard one peep about that. Not one peep. They're talking about this big thing of all these dead people collecting Social Security. Never happened, never showed up, no data, no stats, no nothing. But the bigger picture of that is, why is the Social Security program always a damn political football? Always.
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 It has been.
Oh, you got to hang it over your head if we don't do this. And then they do this. This is my favorite one. They take it and they use it for something else. And then they come back and say, we're going to save it for you. We're here. We're going to save Social Security. Leave the damn thing. Leave the shit alone.
We would
Leave
have
it
plenty.
alone. And
We'd have plenty.
now, you know what we've done? You've saved it. You
Yeah.
know? It's always a football. But the Social Security disability thing, like pretty much all disability programs, they're rampant with fraud. And I'm not saying, and no, I'm not. I know someone with Social Security disability absolutely deserves it. And I know a couple people on Social Security disability. I can't believe these guys are getting anything from anybody. I wouldn't give them $1. No one's talking about that one.
And that goes back. This Doge thing. What did Doge do to Social Security? They came in, they fired a bunch of workers that answer phones and help people like you, me, and who's ever listening to this, people that help us. Because you do have glitches occasionally. Mine's been running smooth, but I'll tell you, I was able to talk to people when I first started. And so they came in, they fired a bunch of people, didn't save any money. They made the system more inefficient. And also, Social Security was running at the lowest employment it has, in 50 years or something, isn't it, Jack? It's very efficient. For how much claims it's putting out, it was at its lowest employment rate. And then Doge comes in and does this. I'm thinking, hey, this is a great idea, this government efficiency. And Elon Musk, he's a smart guy, and he knows AI. So I'm thinking he's going to use AI to come in and root out the fraud that me and Jack were just talking about. AI would be able to pick out, oh, this guy's 36. Well, he had no catastrophic injuries, car accident, no surgeries. AI could find all this out in minutes, in seconds, actually. And, well, something's wrong here. How did he get this? Oh, he did time in prison, and so now he can't hold a job down? Well, that's bullshit. Get rid of the claim. And it's not just that. There's other ways to get a disability by claiming, you have depression, whatever. And it's the third time is a charm thing that me and you spoke about. So I'm thinking the Doge is going to come in and clean up a lot of that. And there's billions and billions. I mean, probably, I don't know, tens of billions minimum, maybe 100 billion in fraud, hundreds of billions. And so that allows people like that are getting it legit to get it longer and to get their full amount. And they didn't do any of that.
No, they did. They cut. There's an idea, and this, I guess, is the political statement of the thing. There's an idea by cutting employments where you save the budget. And I'm not going to argue there are certain places they can really cut employment and the government to do it. I will tell you, Social Security is, I don't believe one. I don't think any of the veterans programs, and I am not a veteran, I think the veteran programs ought to be left alone, period. I don't get that either. Neither one of them shows that they're rife with any type of corruption and stuff. They're mostly shorthanded. And the Social Security people, I will tell you, I have dealt with are extremely helpful and patient. I personally, we're only talking about we know personally here. Personally, never had an issue. I think they've been great. But you cut those numbers down and you're going to take away from those people. It's hard. That's not the corrupt area. And you've got three kinds of people making decisions over this Social Security. And the one group, they're too young to collect Social Security and they're doing well or not going to get it. Okay, if they do get it, they don't really care. The second group is they're not collecting Social Security because they're giving up money they don't have to. And the third group is they are collecting Social Security, and maybe they shouldn't do because they're doing that well and they got an upper pension. All three of those groups are politicians. All three of them. That's what you're dealing with. That's the bucket of people making decisions on this, and it's not right. The lower level people, us,
Us,
us
me,
here,
you, yeah.
you know, we don't make these decisions. But the bottom line is, if we're going to be true to our word in this country, Social Security was promised to people who are now drawing it and have been drawing it, and that was the deal. And I don't give a damn about their old formulas at all times. Well, you had 33 people, putting in now, for every one drawing out. And now the formula is doing this right here. Let me tell you something. The government way of auditing is so mired in bullshit that they're worried about they can actually come up with a number on that. Well, you've got people sitting in front of the Senate that can't tell you where their money is for the federal defense budget. They can't account for any of that. But by God, they can tell you how many people are paying in Social Security. If that don't irritate you, it ought to. Or maybe your past Social Security have died. I don't know. To me, that is just the most ridiculous thing in the world.
Well, you must
That's
be
my
wrong,
that's my
Jack.
rant for the day.
Yeah, yeah, you must be wrong though, because Elon Musk checked the Department of Defense, and he found like $20 million. And if you people are watching this, you're probably close to my age. We all remember the $500 hammers. Or what?
Yeah.
You think that went away?
Yeah.
Like Jack says, they can't even tell them where they spent the money in the Department of Defense. And we did time with defense fraud guys. The federal prison has guys in there that did defense contracting fraud, and they couldn't find any. When now it's about $1 trillion. Once they get their budget raised, it'll be over $1 trillion in spending, and there was no fraud there. But Social Security was rife with it. And remember when Trump came out right after, he goes, "Well, there's 2 million dead people collecting Social Security."
Yeah.
And there was 2 million people on the files, but their file was closed. They were just still in the system, and it hasn't been purged. But they weren't collecting money, and so they're coming at. The point is, they're coming after it. I know they are.
It appears that way. They keep tossing out this year, 2033. They've got that figured out. And again, they can't figure out any other budgets standing in 2033. Ask them for an opinion on that. They can't give you one. But this one they can. And it's because they want to use both sides. Both sides want to use it in some type of a political game to get the vote of the people who are collecting Social Security, or they are going to screw it up and they think they can get away with it and take the money elsewhere. They're not going to quit taking the money out of checks. I don't believe that. They'll keep doing it. But it is in a precarious situation when they do it. Not here to scare anybody. The point of we're doing a series on this is my other series is about fraud from the outside. As everyone knows who watched my other videos, they got in my account. Someone got in there and somehow in this account, the socialsecurity.gov, they got in, changed my checking account. And they did it. And I got a couple of people sent me things. Said, "Well, it's the dark web," but it could be. We're still looking. And someone said, "Well, because your medical records." Well, could be. Still looking. But my question is this: how did they get in there and get the password, the Social Security number, but go to ID.me, which is this super secure thing that actually is spinning around all the time that you have to do live in contact with all these other things to make it work? And get in, and they did. And when I went to Social Security office, that woman said to me, she goes, they did, they got in. I said, yeah. She goes, I've been here, I've never seen like this in my life, ever. She was literally shocked, and she's like, I got to take you out of the system. You can never use this again because they're not afraid that they're going to get into it. So you got that side, then you got the government side. So you have to take care of yourself in this thing. I always tell you, check your Social Security account every month if you can, one way or another, and be aware of what's happening politically. You have to. We're not political activists. We're just telling you what happened to us and what we see.
Hey, join ARP. They look out for us. They look out for us. I think it's $18 a year. Well, hell, you'll get more discounts from them. If you don't belong, they get great discounts all the time. You know, they'll send you coupons for discounts and stuff, but they also look out for this stuff. They have lobbyists because we're going up against lobbyists. We're going up against big government, other big, corporate and everything entities that are trying to get out of paying this money, and they have lobbyists. And luckily, AARP looks out for the retired people.
And I
And
never thought, and they're not sponsoring us, nothing. I belong, and if they don't, no, they're not paying us a dime. They didn't say, hey, talk about us. I believe in them, and I never thought it would. My grandmother told me way back in, good Lord, I don't know what it was, 70s like that. But she joined. You'll join this someday. And I thought, are you crazy? I'm never gonna be an old raisin, an old codger. But I am now. I'm an old codger, and I believe in them because they keep you up to date. They on everything that's going on, and they do have a lobby. And GT's right. The lobbyists are winning on a lot of these topics we're talking about, and we've thrown a lot of stuff at you today. We're going to break some of it down. We're going in depth on this. We're going to get some more things, not just the government side, but the fraud side. And I've been digging into it pretty heavy. So GT, it's pretty damn scary.
yeah,
It really
it
is.
sure is. And it's going to get worse on the fraud side because that ruling, the judge ruled last week that Doge had got into Social Security, everybody's records, and that's detailed. That's your mother's maiden name. That's your bank account. That's how I think Jack got hit. We don't know it. That's just my thinking. But Doge got in there, and when they upload all this into their system, they use Starlink, and Starlink is Elon Musk's his thing. Well, it's been out lately that Starlink's been hacked. It's not a secure thing. And so now they had held it up. They had started to get in Social Security, and the judge put a stop to it. Well, they brought the case to court, and the court ruled last week that no, Doge can get in there. Well, that means they're back in, and these kids now, they've got all of our stuff. So this fraud thing might start picking up. I'm not saying it will, but there's a better than even possibility, that your stuff, when they say the dark web, your stuff's on the dark web, well, how the hell did it get there?
Exactly. And the more you spread out your personal information, the greater the chance someone's going to hack it. And once they get in, it's pretty simple. They make the changes. Now, I want to tell you one thing to do. We're going to get off here pretty quick, but one thing to do, if you're on SSA.gov, make sure that there's a box there was on before. Make sure you say you want to be notified of any changes to your account. Now, I assume that was when they gave us our COLA raise once a year, or to verify I changed the beneficiary or something like that. No, they notified me when my bank account was changed. Otherwise, I wouldn't have known. And I have no idea, if I hadn't got that deposit, how long it would have taken to get that straightened out. Plus, I don't know about you guys, but that would have kicked me right in the shorts. I mean,
I count on it. It's in my budget.
Yeah, it's in my budget.
It's in my budget. Yeah.
And like the government, I know exactly where it's all going and what happens if it runs dry. I can tell you right now, it got dry real damn quick on that one. Anyway, we're about ready to shut it down for this week. But we'll be back next week, and I'm going to have another special one coming up real soon on another fraud case that I witnessed to. But we're going to find out what's happening. We're digging in more. Hope you come back this next week. GT, anything before we shut her down?
Yeah, please, if you guys can, hit the subscribe button. We could use your support, and we're trying to make a go of this so we can do this kind of full time and really delve into some of these subjects and have more time. Me and Jack both work regular jobs. He works at a hospital. I drive a truck, so we're trying to make this a regular thing and become a voice and maybe keep you up on the latest things. So if you can, subscribe and watch us again.
Yeah. And remember, check on your stuff. It's your stuff. Make sure it doesn't turn into somebody else's stuff. See you next week.